Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is about mental models. In my 17th video of this cognitive bias mini-series, I will be talking about the cognitive bias called stereotyping. When the actions and behaviours of one person are attributed to everyone in a larger group of people with whom this person belongs to, then this is stereotyping. Similarly, if we believe that a specific individual in a group of people will have certain characteristics which come about from generalized beliefs we have of that group, despite not having any information or knowing that individual, then again, this is stereotyping. So stereotypes are preconceived ideas. Or conclusions made on incorrect judgments. About particular characteristics. This can cause us to make an impulsive or rash judgment or decision about someone. In turn, this can adversely influence our actions, and lead, as well as decisions, and lead to further inaccurate conclusions and discrimination. So it's sort of like a little bit of a cycle. Let's look at an example. A person named Joe works in a bank. And someone suggests that Joe must be good at maths because they work in a bank, but they have no other information about Joe. So in this example, the stereotype is being good at maths. The group is bank employees. The preconceived, I'm going to call it pre-C idea, is that all bank employees are good at maths. And in terms of information on Joe, well, we have no other info on Joe. So I could go through another example, but they will all follow the same or similar pattern, in that there is someone who belongs or identifies with a group, and this someone has an individual identity, and the group has a group identity. And because, so going back to my person, because they have a preconceived idea of the group, and also that they have no other info on the person, because of that preconceived idea of that group, the person is categorized based on their group identity. Rather than what should happen is that they are categorized on their individual identity, but it's actually the group identity is what they're categorized as. Now, I have chosen this example because stereotyping can also be positive, and in this case it's a positive sort of outcome that I'm looking at. So there are positive outcomes coming out of stereotyping, but we must remember that even if our stereotypes presuppose positive characteristics, they still reduce people to a single story, in this case being good at maths, and ignore any individual identities. So why does this happen? Number one, shortcuts or heuristics. So similar to a few other cognitive biases, as there is limited or no other information, our minds start to take shortcuts to fill in the gaps and make judgments. We do this to avoid exerting too much mental effort. So we skip the long process of trying to find out what the actual information is, and we just fill the gaps with our own preconceived ideas of that group. Number two, I'm going to call this mental structures. We need to be able to organize information in our minds so that we can retrieve it and remember things. Think of it as lots of pigeonholes that organize and hold the information we learn. We have a different mental structure for different things that we wish to remember and wish to categorize and wish to organize. And stereotyping is this type of mental structure. It is a type of mental structure. So it's a set of pigeonholes where we can categorize people. And so because of these mental structures, stereotyping comes about from that. Number three, bounded rationality. Our ability to make decisions is naturally restricted by time, mental reasoning abilities, and the amount of information that we have. And so we fall back on stereotypes to be able to make timely decisions. And 4, illusory correlation. This is where people see a relationship between 2 or more variables or characteristics, even though there is no such connection. This can lead to stereotyping as it uses a single example and reduces someone to a single story. And finally, I've said it quite a few times, preconceived beliefs or ideas. So something, as I've mentioned here and here as well, because we have these preconceived beliefs, either consciously or unconsciously, we end up stereotyping others based on these. So if there are no preconceived beliefs, then we can't stereotype. Because we have them, it gives rise to stereotyping. So how do we overcome this bias? Unfortunately, stereotyping is a conditioned habit. However, with collaboration and a willingness to learn, you can chip away at its power. Number 1, adopting a learning mindset. So learn more about the subject and about the damage stereotyping can impose on different groups. Diversity and inclusion seminars are a good way to get this learning. Number 2, engage with different people. By engaging with others, we are learning more about the individual person and their individual identity. And as we are building up a better picture of the individual, we have a better chance of making a more reasoned judgment about someone, as opposed to identifying them by the group that they belong or identify with. Number 3, get more information. So in all of these cases, I've always said that there is no other information on the person. So similar to the above, where we are sort of engaging with different people, stereotyping almost always takes place when we have little to no information about the individual. And therefore, where possible, try and obtain more information. And as I've said in the previous point, take the opportunity where possible to engage with people so that you can get more information. The more information you have, the better picture you can build of the individual identity. 4, confront stereotyping. So if you see prejudice or stereotyping, then calling it out can be quite impactful. It can help others, but also make us more mindful about our own behaviours. And that's some of the key ways we can overcome this bias. There are other ways too, but I wanted to focus on these 4. Although stereotypes can be dangerous when wrong, they can also be a way in which we categorize information efficiently and free up brain processing power. Stereotyping itself is not inherently bad, going back to my example here. And in this example, as I've shown, it can be positive. but when taken to extremes can lead to discrimination and disadvantage. All in all, by overcoming this bias, we are taking the effort of understanding people better and not being lazy. This can reduce conflict, prejudice, and discrimination, all of which can lead to better outcomes. And that's all for this video. If you liked this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. It really, really helps my little channel grow. And if you like this video, then you may also like this one too. So give it a watch, and I will see you again in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.